Hello, darlings. My name is V, and this is Good News Read to You, Volume 3. I had a couple comments saying that my audio wasn't quite audible, so we're going to try with the microphone turned on this time, and I'm going to hold it a bit closer. So it's also really hot today, especially in this room. So yeah, bear with me. We have 5 lovely articles to go through today. 5 very good pieces of news. First of which is titled Indigenous Knowledge Key to Building Healthier and More Sustainable Food Systems. This is posted on phys.org. It says by University of East Anglia, edited by Sadie Harley, and I'm going to pull up the published article, which was titled Food Systems Literacy in Indigenous Health and Nutrition, with authors Binesse, and Vinod, published in Nature Food. So that's the first article. Second is titled Scientists Discovered the Brain Doesn't Make Decisions the Way We Thought. Posted on Science Daily. Source is listed as University of Illinois, Grainger College of Engineering. And the journal reference is titled Neural Correlates of Perceptual Decision Making in the Primary Somatosensory Cortex, in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, with authors Armstrong and Vlasov. Third, we have Exercise Doesn't Just Strengthen the Heart, It Rewires it. Also posted on Science Daily. Source listed University of Bristol, with the published article, journal reference, Asymmetric Neuroplasticity in Stellate Ganglia, Unveiling Site-Specific Adaptations to Aerobic Exercise in Autonomic Neuroscience, with several authors. I'll say Ladd et al. Fourth, we have Trusting Me, Trusting You, how researchers are redesigning relationships between humans and intelligent machines. Posted on techexplore.com by Ben Harwood, Anna Bartlett, and the University of Manchester. Also edited by Sadie Harley. Let's see if looks like there are a few journal references. So those are listed at the end of the article. And last but not least, Programmable Metasurface turns keyboard commands into dynamic holograms in milliseconds, by Lena, I want to say Jawanig, at the University of Stuttgart, edited by Sadie Harley. With publication details, Interactively Addressable Organic Meta Devices in Nature Communications, by Huang et al. Awesome. Goodness graciousness. So now, Indigenous Knowledge Key to Building Healthier and More Sustainable Food Systems. Traditional and indigenous knowledge could play a vital role in addressing some of the world's most pressing challenges, including climate change, biodiversity loss, and poor health and nutrition, according to a new review of current research. The analysis, which looked at 39 peer-reviewed studies from around the world, found that while Indigenous and traditional food knowledge is increasingly recognized as a solution to these interconnected crises, health and nutrition education and practice continue to be dominated by top-down medicalized approaches. Researchers from the University of East Anglia's, or UEA, Schools of Global Development and Education and Lifelong Learning examined how food systems literacy, defined as the knowledge, skills, and communication practices that help people engage with food systems, can be strengthened to support healthier, more equitable, and environmentally sustainable outcomes. They say this is an important, though often overlooked, element of food system resilience, involving nuanced knowledge of different elements of the food system, from food production to preparation and consumption. Grounding food literacy in culture. The review, published in the journal Nature Food, also explored how different worldviews and approaches to knowledge production influence health and nutrition interventions involving Indigenous communities. The findings suggest that culturally grounded and participatory approaches are essential for improving food systems literacy and supporting communities to maintain and revitalize traditional food practices. Lead author Nitya Rao, a professor Rao, 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 a professor in the School of Global Development, said, existing food systems are failing to adequately address global hunger and malnutrition, with over 600 million people projected to face food insecurity by 2030. By identifying both challenges and examples of good practice, our review provides important insights for policymakers, educators, health practitioners, and community organizations seeking to develop more inclusive approaches to food and nutrition education. As governments and organizations seek solutions to the interconnected challenges of climate change, biodiversity loss, and public health, the findings suggest that greater attention to Indigenous knowledge systems could help create food systems that are more sustainable, resilient, equitable, and better equipped to meet future challenges. Case studies point to better practice. Drawing on case studies from Indigenous communities across the world, the review highlights the importance of recognizing diverse forms of knowledge and fostering meaningful participation by these communities in the design and delivery of health and nutrition initiatives. Integrating local and Indigenous languages also improves communication, cultural relevance, and inclusivity in both research and health promotion. The case studies include a range of educational programs, community initiatives, and institutional interventions that integrate local knowledge, cultural values, and lived experience. Examples include incorporating Quechua Mayan perspectives into Guatemalan food guidelines and co-designing a mobile health app with Maori and Pacifica partners using culturally grounded language, narratives, and visuals. Where conventional programs fall short. In contrast, the review notes that conventional health and nutrition programs often prioritized technical and biomedical knowledge, which can overlook cultural contexts and the value of Indigenous expertise. This can limit community engagement and reduce the effectiveness of interventions. While linguistic diversity and the lack of equivalent biomedical terminology do present challenges. Interpreter services and community-led health promotion can help bridge knowledge gaps and support equitable care. The studies highlight the need to reconcile Indigenous and Western health worldviews through collaborative approaches. Communication methods such as storytelling, talking circles, workshops, cooking demonstrations, peer learning, short films, and smartphone apps were found to enhance engagement and support effective health and nutrition interventions. Rao, who is also director of the Norwich Institute for Sustainable Development, added, reclaiming and recognizing Indigenous knowledge, values, and practices to address the different elements of nutrition and health involves recognizing intergenerational and wider social relations and engaging everyone from the elders, healers, educators, and farmers to service providers, policymakers, and academics to together raise issues and find solutions. The authors conclude that strengthening food systems literacy through collaborative, culturally relevant, and community-led approaches offers significant opportunities to improve health and well-being, while also supporting broader environmental and social goals. Word. Super dope. Super cool. Awesome. Now, scientists discovered the brain doesn't make decisions the way we thought. Ba, ba, ba. Scientists at the University of Illinois Urbana, oh, Champaign, I think so, have uncovered evidence that could reshape how researchers think about both the brain and artificial intelligence. Their findings suggest that decision making begins much earlier in the brain than traditional theories propose, offering fresh ideas for designing future AI systems that are more capable and far more energy efficient. Led by electrical and computer engineering oh goodness graciousness, Professor Yurii Vlasov at the Grainger College of Engineering. The research was published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. The study points to an unexpected role for early sensory brain regions in decision making, challenging the long accepted view that decisions emerge only after information moves through a strict hierarchy of brain regions. Excuse me. Rethinking how the brain makes decisions. The human brain is widely regarded as the most complex structure in the known universe. Scientists still do not fully understand how it works, which is why reverse engineering the brain was identified by the National Academy of Engineering in 2008 as one of the 14 grand challenges for engineering in the 21st century. Black box. For decades, many artificial intelligence systems, including convolutional neural networks, have been inspired by the idea that the brain processes information in a one-way sequence. According to this traditional model, sensory information travels upward through increasingly complex brain regions until it reaches the frontal cortex, where decisions are made. Vlasov and other researchers have increasingly questioned whether that picture is complete. Instead, they are exploring a model based on natural intelligence, which has been refined through evolution over hundreds of millions of years. In this framework, the brain does not rely only on a step-by-step flow of information. Decision-making also depends on interconnected feedback loops that allow information to move in both directions between brain regions. Because biological intelligence performs remarkably complex tasks while using far less energy than today's AI systems, understanding this architecture could help guide the development of future artificial intelligence. Sounds like embodied cognition. We want to learn from a billion years of evolution, Vlasov said. How is that biological intelligence organized architecturally? Can we learn from the architectural side of the brain and emulate that to make AI more effective, less power hungry, and more intelligent than it currently is? In the level of decision making, that's where current AI is lacking. Early brain regions show decision making activity. To investigate how these processes work, the research team focused on the brain's earliest stages of sensing and perception. The scientists recorded neural activity in mice as they navigated a virtual reality corridor and made perceptual decisions. Bunch of VR headsets on mice. They found evidence of decision-related activity in the primary somatosensory cortex, S1, one of the brain's earliest sensory processing areas. Rather than simply passing information forward, S1 appeared to be influenced by higher brain regions through feedback loops. This top-down regulation suggests that decision-making involves continuous communication across multiple brain areas instead of a simple one-direction flow of information. The neural code of the brain is still mostly an unknown language, Vlasov said. But this systems-level understanding can be viewed as a potential impact on how more efficient artificial neural networks can be built, how the next generation of AI can be thought through. Maybe with these analogies, we can learn from real brains. That we learn from real brains, we can improve AI further. What the findings could mean for future AI. The researchers emphasize that the study does not provide a blueprint for building better artificial intelligence. Instead, it offers new insights into how the brain organizes decision-making that could eventually inspire future AI architectures. Next, Vlasov and his team plan to investigate the timing of these brain signals in greater detail. They also intend to develop new technologies for measuring neural activity to better understand how feedback loops emerge and coordinate different levels of brain processing. By looking at the fast temporal dynamics of neural activity, maybe we can understand better how these feedback loops are engaged in making decisions, Vlasov said. Maybe that's the approach that potentially uncovers these currently unknown mechanisms, how these feedback loops are organized dynamically, and how they form and shape different levels of processing. Maybe that can be implemented in new architectures for AI. Like I mentioned, that reminds me of embodied cognition, which somewhat states that cognition and consciousness is a comprehensive process, isn't entirely localized in the brain, but is a dynamic interaction between all of the bodily systems and the environment. which would also imply that cognition and decision making is a function thereof within AI would transiently include the environment, i.e., the users, the human bodies that are operating. Potentially, theoretically. It's collaborative. Cool. Now, 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 exercise doesn't just strengthen the heart, it rewires it. Regular exercise may benefit the heart in a way scientists are only beginning to understand. Beyond improving cardiovascular fitness, new research suggests that moderate aerobic exercise reshapes the nerves that regulate the heart. The findings could eventually help doctors develop more precise treatments for common heart conditions. Researchers from researchers from the University of Bristol, UK, found for the first time that regular aerobic training changes the heart's controlling nerves differently on the left and right sides of the body. The study, published in Autonomic Neuroscience, uncovered a striking left-right difference that may one day improve treatment strategies for irregular heartbeats, chest pain, angina, and stress-induced broken heart syndrome. Study lead author Dr. Augusto Coppi, I think I said that correctly, senior lecturer in veterinary anatomy at the University of Bristol, said, "The discovery points to a previously hidden left-right pattern in the body's autopilot system that helps run the heart. These nerve clusters act like the heart's dimmer switch." Oh, a moment. Excuse me. These nerve clusters act like the heart's dimmer switch, and we've shown that regular, moderate exercise remodels that switch in a site-specific way. This could help explain why some treatments work better on one side than the other, and in future, help doctors target therapies more precisely and effectively. Exercise alters heart control nerves. The project was carried out in collaboration with University College London, UCL, in the UK, the University of Sao Paulo, USP, and the Federal University of Sao Paulo, UNIFESP, in Brazil. Using advanced three-dimensional imaging techniques known as stereology, the team examined how exercise changed nerve clusters that help regulate heart function. After 10 weeks of training, rats that exercised had about 4 times as many neurons in the cardiovascular nerve cluster on the right side of the body compared with the left, relative to untrained animals. At the same time, neurons on the left side nearly doubled in size, while those on the right became slightly smaller. These findings suggest that exercise remodels the heart's nerve network in different ways on each side. Well, hmm. So cardiovascular neurons on the right side quadrupled in number but shrunk, and on the left side, nearly double in size. Hmm. Maybe that has to do with difference in cardioneuronal function. Like the right side of the heart is getting smarter, while the left side's getting stronger. It's not exactly what that means, but potential benefits for heart treatments. Dr. Coppi, I think that's right, COPPI, explained irregular heart rhythms, known as arrhythmias, stress-induced broken heart syndrome, and certain types of chest pain are often treated by dialing down overactive stellate ganglia, the paired small nerve hubs in the lower neck and upper chest area that send go faster signals to the heart. By mapping how exercise changes these ganglia on each side, the study offers clues that could one day fine-tune procedures like nerve blocks or denervation to the side most likely to help. The findings are early stage in rats. I was like, the findings are early stage and in rats. So clinical studies would need to follow. Although the research is still in its early stages and was conducted in rats, the results also raise the possibility that future therapies could be tailored to target one side of these nerve clusters more effectively than the other. That approach could improve treatments for arrhythmias, stress-induced broken heart syndrome, and difficult-to-treat angina. Next steps for research. The researchers now plan to investigate how these structural changes affect the heart's performance, both during exercise and at rest. They also intend to determine whether the same left-right pattern appears in other animal models and in humans using non-invasive markers. Dr. Coppi, I feel like there's a different way of pronouncing that, added, understanding these left-right differences could help us personalize treatments for heart rhythm disorders and angina. Our next step is to test how these structural changes map onto function and whether similar patterns appear in larger animals and humans. Cool. The neurons increase in size. Like the cell bodies themselves. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, trusting me, trusting you. Oh, goodness graciousness. How researchers are redesigning relationships between humans and intelligent machines. From the Ferranti Mark I, couldn't tell you what that is, to empathetic AI, Manchester researchers are exploring how intelligent machines can understand human behavior, respond to social cues, and earn trust in our workplaces, hospitals, and homes. When Manchester researchers wanted to program their new Ferranti Mark I computer in 1951, I knew we'd get it from the context. They had to think like the machine. This meant memorizing a set of 32 symbols used to translate instructions into a form the machine could understand. Symbols so different from language that they were like a secret code. Today, instead of thinking about how we communicate with machines, scientists are trying to improve how machines communicate with us, how they might read our intentions, notice when there's a change in our demeanor, and earn our trust. This isn't just a question about technology. It's also about psychology, ethics, and what we need from the intelligent systems that increasingly share our workplaces, hospitals, and homes. The problem of trust. People build trust instinctively, often without noticing. It could be the way someone listens, remembers what matters to us, responds at the right moment, or handles a mistake. Now, researchers at Manchester's Center for Robotics and AI are studying how these same dynamics might play out with machines. They've found that our trust in robots often depends on two things: whether a robot can do what it claims it can do, and whether it responds to situations, especially failures, in ways that feel recognizably human. A robot that completes a job but ignores typical social cues may be accurate, but it's often not trusted as much as a robot that fails a task but acknowledges its mistakes in a human-like way. One Manchester study, ACM Transactions on Human-Robot Interaction, also found that the voice a robot uses is important. During this exercise, people showed greater confidence in working with a machine when it spoke in an AI-generated voice designed to sound more human, even though, when asked afterwards, they claimed to have preferred a standard robotic version instead. It suggests that what people believe they want from robots and how they actually behave around them are not always the same. When the robot is watching you. However, trust doesn't only run one way, and that's why Manchester researchers have been developing computational trust, mathematical models that help robots assess the trustworthiness of the humans they work with. In a collaborative task, knowing how much a human partner's contributions can be relied on helps a robot anticipate what its human partner is likely to do next, or where they might go wrong. This ties in with the theory of mind concept, which describes the human ability to understand that other people have their own knowledge, intentions, and goals that may differ from your own. Developing an artificial version of this, a robot that can genuinely read the room, is one of the most ambitious targets in the field. Understanding another mind. To address this, Manchester researchers are now exploring what happens when machines begin to develop a basic version of theory of mind. In one recent study, a research team gave pairs of autonomous robots different personalities and priorities. Some were designed to be more socially focused, while others were more playful. Each robot had its own needs and goals, but those needs were invisible to its partner. The challenge was learning to work together anyway. To do this, the robots used their own experiences as a starting point for understanding each other. If a robot observed behavior that looked familiar, it could begin to infer what its partner might be trying to achieve. Over time, those estimates were refined through interaction. The result was a machine capable of making decisions not solely for itself, but with another agent in mind. The researchers found that cooperation emerged most successfully when at least one robot was willing to prioritize the needs of another. Simply giving the robot the ability to reason about another's mental state was not enough. What mattered was how it used that knowledge when deciding what to do next. In human terms, it is the difference between understanding that somebody needs help and choosing to offer it. Aww. Sweet. It's so sweet. Feeling heard. Progress in this field relies on developing a machine that can respond empathetically, not just correctly. When Manchester researchers built a system they called Emma, they chose to train it on facial expressions as well as text, giving it the ability to recognize emotional states and respond in ways that were more empathetic. When tested against responses from a leading commercial language model, Emma's replies were judged to be more human-like and appropriate. As AI becomes increasingly conversational and robots become a more familiar presence in our lives, how well these kinds of interactions work for us matters in two ways: for the quality of the experience itself, and whether we can rely on these systems. Trust will be built through transparency, honesty, and machines that understand us well enough to know what we need. In 1951, the human had to adapt to the machine. But in 2026, we are building machines that might, at last, begin to adapt to us. Word. Heard. Shured. Go on. Now, programmable metasurface turns keyboard commands. Oh my goodness, my light turned off. There we go. Oh my goodness. We need to charge. Oh, I do have a battery pack. I'd also just be able to charge this. Right. Like fully situated here. We're gonna go without the light. We have one more article. We will be enlightened through the entire duration in the next video. Now, programmable metasurface turns keyboard commands into dynamic holograms in milliseconds. Metasurfaces are ultra-thin optical components engineered with arrays of nanoscale structures that can control light in ways that are difficult for conventional optics. Unlike traditional optical components, which typically rely on their shape and thickness, metasurfaces manipulate light using carefully designed nanostructures patterned on a flat surface. Active metastructures are extending the capabilities of flat optics by enabling optical functions to be dynamically reconfigured, says Professor Laura Na Liu, director of the Second Physics Institute at the University of Stuttgart, the second physics institute. So great at physics, they have two. To tap into this potential, we need to learn how to address individual pixels within a two-dimensional metasurface at visible wavelengths. Researchers at the University of Stuttgart have developed an interactively addressable organic meta-device that uses electrically switchable organic materials to dynamically control light. The new platform enables every metasurface pixel to be electronically controlled independently, allowing user commands to be translated directly into dynamic holographic images. The work advances active metasurfaces toward programmable optical technologies. It was published in the journal Nature Communications. From static functionality to programmable metasurfaces. Over the past decade, metasurfaces have transformed flat optics by enabling precise control of light using arrays of nanoscale structures. While numerous approaches have introduced active optical tuning, most metasurface devices still perform predefined optical functions with only limited independent pixel control. The Stuttgart researchers' aim was to realize a truly programmable metasurface. To achieve this, they integrated plasmonic gold nanoantennas with ultra-thin electrochemically active conducting polymers. Combined with a planar electric fan-out architecture, each metasurface pixel can be switched independently using subvolt electrical signals with millisecond response times while maintaining negligible electrical crosstalk. The resulting platform enables optical functionality to be updated dynamically through electronic control at the level of individual pixels. Independent addressability is the foundation of every programmable technology, Liu says. Future metasurfaces will follow the same principle. By giving every optical pixel its own electronic address, we transform metasurfaces from predefined optical components into programmable photonic platforms capable of adapting their functionality in real time. Closing the loop between users and light. To demonstrate the capabilities of the platform, the researchers integrated the meta device into a complete electronic control system. Commands entered through a computer keyboard were immediately converted into holographically projected letters and numbers. In a second demonstration, a handheld game controller enabled users to play holographic versions of classic games, including Snake and a Tetris-inspired block-falling game. Rather than displaying predetermined optical patterns, the holographic scene continuously evolved in response to user actions, establishing a direct interaction loop between users, electronics, and light. Cool. Each pixel had to switch rapidly while remaining electrically isolated from its neighbors, explains Dr. Xiangyu Huang, first author of the study. Seeing holographic images respond instantly to user input was an exciting moment because it demonstrated that individually addressable metasurfaces can become genuinely interactive optical devices. Toward programmable active metasurfaces. Unlike conventional optical components, whose functionality is largely defined during fabrication, the same meta device can perform different optical tasks simply by changing the electronic driving signals. This programmable operation allows a single optical platform to support multiple dynamic functions without changing its physical structure. The researchers believe that the concept extends well beyond the holographic demonstrations presented in the study. As larger pixel arrays, improved conducting polymers, and more sophisticated electronic control systems become available, independently addressable metasurfaces could enable increasingly powerful adaptive optical technologies for imaging, communication, sensing, and wearable photonics. This work presents an important step towards programmable active metasurfaces, Liu says. As independently addressable optical pixels become increasingly scalable, we expect entirely new opportunities for dynamic optical technologies at the interface of nanophotonics, electronics, and intelligent control. Cool. Very cool. Multidimensional. Word. Well, these are some really cool articles. Super lovely. If you find any articles you would like me to read, comment them. And you'll see me. I won't see you. You'll see me next time on Good News Read to You.